Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again. And now, starting this August, a new adventure from the Cellcast podcast, the Cellcast, the animated series. Throughout the month of August, Jacob and Drew will review the animated series Star Trek Lower Decks as it releases on CBS All Access. Join us, because resistance is futile. The Cellcast, the animated series. Every Tuesday on your favorite podcast catcher. New show, same RSS feed. Aloha and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who just ain't nothing but a hound dog, Jacob.
And what are you saying about me then?
I'm saying you bark like a hound dog. Especially
All
when
right,
you
then.
haven't had your oils.
Yeah, that's true. Why, thank you, and I'd like to introduce our co-host, a man who just had to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Welcome, Drew.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I forgot about the fish that controls the weather.
Yes. You gotta love Lilo.
Yes.
Just the corniest little...
Well, she's cute. She is very, very cute.
She's very cute, but very, like... She
can be annoying.
Yeah,
but still,
she's an oddball. She's an oddball.
that is putting it mildly.
Yes.
Alrighty, so we are of course reviewing Lilo and Stitch today. We'll get to that here in a couple minutes. But first, Jacob, how are you doing today?
Man, I have been doing very well ever since this is being recorded on Tuesday. We have a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, which is bearing down, I believe, on Houston. Should be there, I think, tomorrow afternoon or 2 days from now.
I think. And then the remnants of that will hit us sometime around midnight Wednesday, probably.
Something like that. So, for all of you who are evacuating, stay safe. Get to shelter. We don't know what this thing's going to be.
Yes.
And where I work, we've been slammed for
imagine you have.
most of the day, and I didn't have backup until almost 4 o'clock.
It's like they didn't bother to schedule a rush during a seasonably rough time of year.
Yeah, almost unexpectedly.
We had a week's warning.
Yeah, but they don't really think about that.
But you would think they would, to make sure they had extra water on hand,
right?
At the very least.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we had plenty of water, believe me.
You know what I mean, though.
Yes, but yeah, we're definitely you are definitely in our prayers and our thoughts. Safe travels, and hope you keep safe. And for those who are staying in the Houston area, please take shelter and just be wise about what's going on.
And don't drown.
And yes, don't drown. Please do not drown. Because I've many family members that are still in Houston and are not going to move. So please just
be fine.
Yeah,
That's
which
understandable.
which is very fine. I understand a lot of people have gone through hurricanes and come out perfectly fine, but you just never know. So there again, weather is unpredictable. So definitely be safe, and you and your family and everybody else as they travel or stay home is in our prayers. So other than that, work has been pretty good. I got a haircut finally after five weeks. It was driving me crazy because my hair grows incredibly fast and it drives me nuts.
Believe me, I understand. I'm getting close to where I'm going to need one soon too, because I'm looking at me in the video there. It's starting to get a little
long.
a little rough there.
Yeah.
So, and the brush is starting not to be able to work. So I'm going to have to go get a haircut soon. Maybe this weekend. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, life is pretty good. Probably next. I was gonna go down to go visit my parents this weekend, but due to the hurricane, that's not gonna happen. So
I'm surprised they're not coming up to visit
no,
you.
they're not. It'd be like they are in a. They're in a certain part of that area where it's higher elevation, and they're surrounded by a very large lake and a lot of trees that are blocking the wind.
So, in other words, it's safe for them to stay there, but if you were to go visit, you may not be able to come back for a while.
Maybe.
Gotcha.
Good idea.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so not this weekend, but next weekend, I will be going to a retreat for singles, which which I am single.
And I am single too, but I am not going.
Yeah, sadly.
Oh. I already got plans.
Yes. Don't we all?
Yes.
Don't we all plans? So, yeah, that is what is going on in my life. What has been going on in your life, Drew?
Yesterday morning, I arrived at work, and sitting on my email was...
At what time?
Oh, at 6:30 yesterday.
Oh, okay. That's when the change...
My normal time.
Ah.
And I had an email from my boss, who had sent this on Saturday. I think he's half convinced that I get my emails at home, which I do not. But I kind of separate my work life from my home life.
Of course.
I know not everybody does that or can do that, but
No.
while I still can, I'm going to. But there was an email saying, hey, starting tomorrow, because apparently he knew enough to at least give me till Tuesday, we need you to come in at 4 in the morning and work till 3:30.
Oy.
So if I seem a little...
Loopy?
Loopy, yes. Loopy is the word. That's why. But who am I to turn down overtime? So...
Right. And plus you get off an hour early.
No, I don't. I get off the same time I always get off.
Oh, well, never mind then. I thought you got off at 4.
No.
Okay, then.
And even if it was 4 normally, I'm still not leaving till 3:30, so it would only be 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But, I'm still going home at regular time, so I'm not going to turn down overtime, even if I go a little crazy.
Okay.
But anyway,
all right.
What have you been watching, Jacob?
Well, before that, I wanted to pose a question to you.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, if you were offered a breakfast burrito, would you either have bacon, sausage, or both?
This comes down essentially to the question, do I like bacon or sausage, or do I just like pig? I like pig.
Okay, so both. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Interesting question. All right.
Doesn't matter if it's a breakfast burrito, a breakfast sandwich, or just pancakes, and those are my sides.
I gotcha.
I like bacon and I like sausage.
Oh, okay.
In other words, I like pig.
Oink.
This is painfully obvious.
Hey, I like pig too, okay? I'm just built different than you are.
Yeah.
God designed us all in different
Exactly.
shapes in His glory, in His image.
Precisely.
All right, so what have I been watching? I've been actually watching a lot. And
Been watching a what?
been watching a lot.
Oh, a lot.
A lot.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. I get tongue-tied and my old speech pattern comes out.
I understand. So besides Captain Tyler and
Tiger Mask.
Tiger Mask that we watched Sunday night over at Chase's, what have you been watching?
Okay.
Just to get the two easy ones off the list.
So easy. So recently Hulu has the streaming rights to Thundercats.
I know they're on the move and loose.
Yeah,
They haven't been loose in quite a while.
Yeah, a little bit. Sad. Well, technically they're loose now, but it's a really, really, really watered down, really, really stupid version.
I wasn't counting Roar. I was talking the original.
Oh, and you're not referring to the 2011?
I'm not even referring to the 2011 with that reference. I was just referring to the original because I do believe it has been an extremely long time since you could just watch the original Thundercats.
Yeah, pretty much. So what I'm referring to is the original Thundercats from 1985, one of my favorite cartoons of all time. If you go back to, I think it's our Ghost in the Shell episode with our special host Brian Rafe, he mentions Thundercats, which was my favorite. His favorite was Voltron. It's so the opening for Thundercats was one of my favorite cartoon and
it's a great opening.
It's a great opening. It's a great story, definitely for the 80s. And being a very small child of the 80s and 90s, be like Thundercats was the show to me.
Yeah.
Like, even though it wasn't the part of the big four, it was that fifth cousin who was just like incredibly good. And so when I heard Hulu had attained the rights to it, I jumped on it and started watching it. And so I think I'm on episode 3 now, and also I'm watching My Hero Academia.
Ah,
and
good choice.
Yes, that was a recommendation from a former coworker of mine, Sabrina RB. So thank you, Sabrina, for
not to mention me
Yes.
and Aaron
Yes.
also telling you.
yeah,
to watch
and
the
everybody
show.
else, you know,
The entire internet.
yeah, that's I don't really listen to the internet when it comes to watching. I just kind of just be like,
But you
oh,
don't-
that sounds fun.
And apparently you don't listen to your friends either.
Well, I do. I just it takes a little persuading for me to do something. Maybe.
That is true. I mean, it's been a year since I lent you those DVDs. Of
Yes,
Gravity
yes,
Falls?
yes,
At least
yes.
you're almost finished.
Yeah, I'm almost finished. I'm almost there. In which we were talking about Gravity Falls. Which
Yes,
Gravity
let's say
Falls
Gravity
is an
Falls.
amazing show.
Yes.
I'm so thankful I was able to watch it, and thank you for letting me borrow it. But I think I'm episode 5, I believe. Deku.
Of My Hero.
My Hero.
Okay.
Deku has passed the test. He is in his first class, and his teacher apparently can take quirks.
Right. So, have you caught the myriad of Star Wars references?
I think some of them, I believe so. I might be wrong.
So the desert is the desert. The beach he is cleaning up is the Tatooine beach.
It's the Tatooine Beach.
Actually, no, sorry, it's Dagobah.
I'm
Dagobah. I believe it's the Dagobah beach.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't know that.
I'm gonna get this right before people start shouting at me.
It's like, you idiot!
Star Wars references in My Hero Academia. Admittedly, you've got to be watching because it's with us only having the English version available. You have to look at the little subtitles at the bottom where it translates the written text.
Okay.
Which may be how you're missing that. But,
Probably because I don't have the subtitles on.
Right, Star Wars references. So, the Tatooine Station is mentioned in there. Dagobah Municipal Beach. And Hosu City, which is apparently a reference to Hoth.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. Yeah, I'm currently really enjoying it.
I think later on I think this is an old article, but later on I think you do also get something related to Naboo.
Oh, okay.
With another character.
Oh, okay. Hopefully no Gungans, because that would just be bad.
No. Just they call up area Naboo, but anyway.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. So I've been watching.
You haven't met the character yet. That's why I'm being quiet.
I gotcha.
You won't even know what character I'm referring to till much later.
No, I do not. All right, so that'll be a nice surprise for me when I finally get around to it. And then everybody who's watched My Hero will be like, you gotta keep watching, it's so good.
It's only 4 seasons.
Only 4 seasons.
Says the guy who hasn't finished season 3 and is still near the beginning of season 3.
Hey, we all do things at our own pace. So
Ultra and all that.
Yeah, so I am very interested to see how My Hero continues. I'm enjoying it. There was one thing that kind of brought to my attention when it came to when I was on the internet one day and I saw this post or someone had said it where if you have that friend who is just finally got around to watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus and be like,
you were nearly that friend.
I was nearly that friend. But the fact that we have this culture that says, you need to watch this episode, this series, because it's a hot trending thing right now.
And I understand not wanting to listen to the culture.
Yeah.
However, I do believe that first episode, I told you to go watch it!
I agree. I'd be like listening to friends about, but not listening to the culture. Where Christ says, "Be like, be not of the world, but be transformed in your mind."
I understand this, but when your friend, who you record a podcast with on a weekly basis, tells you, "Hey, you might want to check this out,"
Yes,
that might take a little more precedence.
yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I also understand being backed up on everything. So
yes, but alas, I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to it, and we might have the movie on the docket.
The Mandalorian. Oh, you mean the My Hero Academia movie?
Yeah, Two Heroes.
It's the first My Hero Academia movie.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
It is on the dice, so it could come up.
Yeah, could. So look forward to that. All right. So the other big bit of animation I have been watching is Batman, the animated series.
Another good choice.
From, I believe, 1993.
Yes.
Yes. So this was an amazing gift I got from, oh my gosh, I forgot her name. This is terrible.
Shame
on
you.
Miss Bradley. Miss Bradley from Mickey's Mom Travel. And so if you want to go and, go to like Disney World or Walt Disney World or any one of those,
when they open back up.
When they open up. I think they're open up now, but just in a limited capacity. Go check them out and be like, what I've heard, their business they do a fantastic job. So this is kind of a plug. We're not getting sponsored by them, but I just want to give a shout out again. Yeah, thank you, Miss Bradley, for that amazing gift. And I finished season 1. Apparently, season 1 is the DVD itself. It's got the first episode right, but all the other episodes are completely out of order. Completely.
Are they in production order?
No.
Or did they just put them in some kind of random order?
They put them in a random order because the second episode has Robin. Then Robin pops up in another episode later on.
The other way it may have happened is if it wasn't production order, maybe that was broadcast order.
Possibly.
And only one of the two orders normally is considered canon order, which usually is production order, but not always.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I thought it was very interesting because
it could just be like Star Wars, where Star Wars: Clone Wars, where the first 3 seasons are in their own order, right? And you have to go way over here, and then way over there, and then back up, and then forward and back. It's like, guys, no, don't do that.
Well, I finished all of season 1, and let me ask you a question. You probably don't remember it, but I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
In season 1, who is the villain most? Who has the most spotlight in season 1? Who do you think?
Mr. Freeze.
No.
Nah, I'm kidding. It's probably the Joker.
Nope.
Villain has the most spotlight.
Yeah, the most episodes in.
I have no idea. I could go guess the entire Rogues Gallery, but we'd be here all night.
Yeah.
So
Scarecrow.
Okay.
Of all villains, Scarecrow.
Well, that's what they were doing with Batman Begins. So
that is true. That is so true. So yeah, I got through season 1.
Although Harvey Dent should be at least somewhat involved.
Oh, I know
his 2-parter.
Yeah.
Does come up pretty quick.
Yeah, it's in season 1. It's really, really well done. I'll be like, the first few episodes you can tell they were kind of experimenting with.
Yeah.
And then they really get in their stride, and it's just like, oh my word, like Heart of Ice with
Yes.
Victor Freeze's story, which changed his entire character. And
before that, he was just a madman who wanted to freeze the world.
Exactly.
Which is all he is in Batman 66.
Yeah.
So the rewrite that they did for this one actually was one of the many things that this show caused to be changed in the comics.
Yeah, and plus we were introduced to Harley Quinn.
But not in the Joker's first episode. The Joker's first episode was the Christmas special.
True. Which is actually the second episode on the disc.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Well, I think I do remember that one coming out pretty quick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was 30 years ago.
Right.
Which I don't like thinking that it's that long ago. So let's move on.
Right. So I got done with season 1. Fantastic. I think now you can find it on Blu-ray and digital. So go check it out. You can find. I think it's on.
I know for a time it was on HBO Max.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still there because HBO Max had a lot of stuff that first month that fell back away, and because of already contracts out there.
Yeah, kind of like Disney Plus.
Yeah, same difference. So it's going to take a bit to catch back up.
Okay. So yeah, and now I think I'm in disc 2 of season 2, and the episode Robin's Reckoning is where we get Dick Grayson's backstory, which is really well done.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that is what I have been watching. So with all of that said, what have you been watching?
Well, not as much as you. In fact, really, the only thing as I have been watching is, of course, I watched our Lower Decks for our episodes there.
That was fun.
Yeah, I have been watching through Enterprise, back through Enterprise, and I just finished the episode Fusion, which was an episode I'd completely forgotten about, but was actually the first time chronologically mind melds were brought up. But other than that, there is something I got to do last Saturday. I saw my first movie in a theater.
Oh yeah,
that was new since Onward. I went to go watch the movie Tesla.
Yeah, how did that go?
That is the most surreal movie I think I've ever watched.
Okay.
I'll put it this way. There are entire scenes that the movie admits it didn't happen this way. And then they'll repeat it with the way it actually happened.
Interesting.
At one point where they're saying this, there's a confrontation that comes up between Tesla and Edison. And in this confrontation, obviously it's a fake scene because they hated each other.
Mm-hmm.
But Edison tries to rehire Tesla back, and it sounds courageous. And at one point he walks away, the narrator pops up and says, yeah, this never actually happened. And then as Edison's walking up to the bar that you can see behind Tesla, he pulls out a cell phone and starts texting somebody. And it's on purpose. You can tell because the camera zoomed in on it.
Wow.
So it's like, because I think part of it is showing that all of Tesla's ideas really did happen. Just long after he had the ideas.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the point of it.
And but Edison stole half of them.
A lot of them, yes. But the most surreal moment is near the end of the movie where they're wrapping things up and they have Ethan Hawke as Tesla doing a karaoke singing to Everybody Wants to Rule the World. You know, the 70s song?
Yeah.
Or I think it's the 80s. Anyway, in front of a back projected screen, and he's singing very poorly because I'm assuming Tesla couldn't sing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But the other thing is all throughout this movie, one thing, they didn't shoot a thing on location. Everything was shot in front of a rear projected screen, much like The Mandalorian did.
Yeah.
But they're leaning into the fact that this is a fake. What you're seeing is fake because sometimes the image behind the characters on screen is very obviously a painting that is supposed to be a stand-in for the setting. Or in one case, it was would look like a cutting from a newspaper. Or at least it had that kind of half-dot pattern on there. And then you can tell it's intentionally fake. It looks intentionally fake. So it is a very weird, like I said, it's very surreal.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't go watch it. I'm just saying do not go in expecting a biopic. Or a straight biopic.
Okay.
Do you remember how The Greatest Showman is not the actual story of P.T. Barnum?
Right.
but is how P.T. Barnum probably would have told the story.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Similar,
Okay.
except Tesla would not have told the story this way either.
Yeah.
It's just that it's like, this is what is happening.
Right.
This, and the narrator of the story is Anne Morgan, the daughter of J.P. Morgan, who Tesla apparently had a thing with.
Really?
For a very short time.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, she'll be on screen talking to us, the audience, about what's going on, and she'll just randomly pull out an Apple laptop and say, if you do a Google search on Tesla, you'll only see about 4 pictures, but if Edison, you'll see millions. It's like, why are you talking about Google? And the moment that first happens was so jarring. It's like, wait, what? You're in period dress, so you're not an objective third-party narrator. You are obviously part of the story, but yet you haven't shown up in the story yet, and you just pulled out an Apple laptop and are telling us about Google image searches. First off, kudos on getting both Apple and Google into the scene at the same time, without using cell phones, because that would have been trouble. No, you just save the cell phone for later. So when Edison pulls it out as he's getting a refill on his beer or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they were drinking, but it is a weird, surreal movie. To me, it kind of stinks of being Oscar bait to some degree, except it is coming out at the wrong time of year to be Oscar bait. So yeah,
it's a little too early in the year. It's close, but it's
it should be somewhere around late December and getting ready for January.
Right.
But at this point, it's like, you know what? We'll just release anything that actually is showing.
Pretty much.
So I was happy just to go see a movie in a theater, to be honest. But it was still kind of a good movie. It's just, don't go in expecting anything straightforward.
Oh, okay. So
I'll put it that way.
So would you recommend the film? It's a maybe.
It's a maybe because it's weird.
Okay.
If you are a history buff like you, my friend, are, who would complain about every single anachronism in the film, you would hate it. I'm going to tell you right now, you will hate it.
Okay.
I'm still going to suggest maybe you watch it because it is interesting.
Yeah.
And there is at least some historical truth.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. I say somewhere in there. It is interesting from an artistic perspective.
Oh, okay. I'll enjoy that part.
But it is, and I'm sure the story it is telling is in essence historically accurate.
Okay.
But the way they're presenting it to you is goofy as all get out.
I gotcha.
And especially when he just randomly picks up a phone, Edison picks up a phone at the bar and starts texting somebody. It's like, and my first thought was, they saw that when they were, oh yes, they saw it because the camera's zooming in. It looked like he thought he was off stage and picked up his phone. That's what it looked like. Like he thought he heard someone say cut, except it's not.
Okay, interesting. Well, okay, it sounds like a very interesting film. So, it sounds intriguing. It'd probably aggravate me to death.
Right.
You know, having the historical pumps, historical inaccuracies, but interesting.
Anyway,
all right, we'll
get to that when we get to that.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, that's what I've watched. What have we got in the news?
All right, so we don't have a whole lot of news. Let me get to that because I need to pull it up. All right, so news-wise, there's not a whole lot. Obviously, theaters are now back open.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I, off the top of my head, I don't know the next animated film coming out.
Keep talking. I'll look it up.
Thank you. All right, so going into a little bit of news. So we reviewed this movie. We did a reaction episode for this movie, I believe, last year. All right, so a refreshing shower of animated entertainment will be falling next month when G Kids and Shout Factory release the animated hit Weathering with You on Blu-ray and DVD on September 15th.
That was such a good movie. I'm looking forward to watching it again.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be...
If I had the Blu-ray, it would be on our list, but that'll have to wait probably till January.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I might pick it up earlier, but...
Well, I'm going to pick it up long before that.
Yeah. All right. So...
But I'm just saying it may not get on the list for us to review until next year.
Okay. All right. It'll be released September 15th. The studio has released the first trailer because obviously it's a great movie. Go watch it. Mm-hmm. It'll be on digital at some point. It's coming out pretty fast, so go watch it. We really enjoyed it. Go check out our reaction down to the podcast listing, and it was a really good movie. I would highly recommend it. All right. So second,
Soul is the next animated movie coming out.
Oh yes,
November 20th.
Yeah, baby. That sounds like fun.
Yeah,
that sounds like a really fun movie. All right, so yeah, we'll be doing a reaction to that film, hopefully.
More than likely.
Yeah, more than likely we'll do a reaction to that. And so, kind of calling to our fan base, if you are in the Tyler, Jacksonville, whatever area of East Texas,
if you are in East Texas and can get to Tyler or Jacksonville,
what have you,
wherever we decide to do this,
yeah, so
that's months ahead. We don't know what things are looking like, but. Yeah.
Exactly. So whenever we do get around to reviewing this film in November, we will let people know in advance. So if you want to come and join us, and while we watch the film,
mm-hmm.
and we'd be more than welcome. Be happy to have you come join us. And so we will let you know in the near future when that movie comes up. And so if you want to come along, you're more than welcome to. And we might get your reaction to the film, may or may not.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
We shall see.
All right. So, with that out of the way, we are... Okay, Lego and Star Wars fans are getting an early holiday gift today as news broke that Disney Plus will be streaming a new Lego Star Wars holiday special on Tuesday, November 17th. Viewers will be whisked back to Chewbacca's home planet of Kashyyyk for a Wookiee-sized celebration of
of Life Day.
Yes, of Life Day.
I haven't looked at the trailer for this, because I know they released one.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna say no. I want the original Star Wars Holiday Special.
They will probably release it. Probably.
Well, that's the thing is George Lucas, if he had his way, would have tracked down every copy in the world and burned them. He has said this.
Okay.
And for the most part, Lucasfilm does seem to respect his wishes and some of this stuff, but at the same time, you cowards released the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh, there was one other thing I learned, because I love what things about history and animation history. Apparently, before Lucasfilm, Star Wars, what have you, was bought by Disney, Lucasfilm was actually working on another animated series.
Okay. Lucasfilm had a lot of stuff in the works.
Yeah, they were working...
like 4 video games that they canceled.
Yeah, which is sad. But apparently they have an entire season of this. It's Star Wars Detour.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that, but it was all going to be non-canon.
Yeah, but
it's going to be a comedy series.
Yeah, it sounded funny. But like it'd be like it would be fun if Disney Plus would release it. But
they probably never got enough of it made.
They got an entire season and a half made.
And then they just need to release it.
Just release it. But like I think
release it, you cowards.
So my recommendation would be, if Disney Plus was listening, or Disney was listening, that'd be fun if they were.
Release it, you cowards!
Don't call them cowards. Come on, man.
They're putting it off because they're afraid, people aren't going to like our Star Wars. Guess what? If we got through The Last Jedi, which I actually like, if we got through The Rise of Skywalker, we will sit through pretty much anything Star Wars.
That is true.
Because, actually, that's not even fair. We sat through The Phantom freaking Menace. We'll be fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, if Disney, George Lucas, be it a Lucasfilm, what have you, are listening, please release Detours. That'd be fun.
Just release all the Star Wars you've got. You've got tons of back catalog. Just put it all out there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Release it, you cowards.
All right, so that is all I have in the news.
Before I stick our foot farther down our mouth. Boy, you can tell I am loopy tonight.
Yeah, just a little bit.
All right, so Lilo and Stitch. Spoiler-free thoughts. I will start, since you've been talking.
Go for it.
I did not watch this movie until about 2 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Well, in my defense, this movie came out in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been my second year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was too busy to go watch movies in theaters.
Okay.
And there might have been that small thought. It's like, I shouldn't rent this movie because I'm an adult and I need to be watching adult things. Yeah, I grew out of that. But I watched it about 2 years ago. Admittedly, I had at least a little bit of connection, a little bit of Lilo and Stitch knowledge from a certain video game series that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So I at least knew who the character was, but I had no idea what the story was about.
I gotcha.
Until about... Really, I guess it was beginning of... It wasn't beginning of last year, because we would have started this podcast by then, and I would have put pretty much any new Disney movie on... Disney movie I hadn't watched on hold.
Right.
But, so it had to have been in the lead up to... our lead up into Frozen, probably.
Okay.
I think I watched it summer of 2018. I believe is when I watched it.
Okay.
I watched it on Amazon. I think I rented it there.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it. I thought, this is not, the best story.
Okay.
But it's still a good story. It's still a fun movie. It is not what I expect of a Disney animated movie from this era.
Okay.
What?
Nothing. Nothing.
You're pointing at me like It's like, ooh, look at the weirdo.
This guy.
You have to admit, you have to remember, the only other Disney movie from this era that I liked was The Emperor's New Groove.
Okay.
And a lot of the reason I liked that is because both of those viewings, I watched it with a large group of people who were quoting along with the movie.
Gotcha.
So I had a lot of pleasant memories on this.
I gotcha.
This movie I had never heard of before. I only vaguely heard of before, and I remember seeing not the great teasers, but the television, the TV commercials.
Yeah.
Thinking this is an odd choice. Why are they going to be in Hawaii? Which, admittedly, there's a great reason to be in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
But, honestly, I'm kind of surprised I didn't catch on to this sooner, because this is actually my kind of movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't see it till a couple years ago, and I have enjoyed it, so.
Okay.
If you have not seen Lilo and Stitch for whatever reason, go watch it.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Though bear in mind, there's 3 other Lilo and Stitch movies on there, so grab the original.
Yeah.
Plus the television series.
Yeah. There's television series and quite a few more, which I'll get down info and stuff.
Yes.
All right. So, obviously, you can tell... I'm a Lilo and Stitch fan. I love this shit. I love this movie.
I would never have guessed this.
I actually watched this in theaters when it came out in June of 2002. That was when I just graduated high school. And I can't remember. I think I went with a lady friend of mine. I think.
A lady friend?
A lady friend. I believe so. I could be wrong. But I remember loving...
Nani to your David?
Say what?
A Nani to your David.
Ah. Maybe. Yeah, it never worked out, but... Yeah.
Really? That one I wouldn't have guessed either.
Thoughts! Well, I mean, like, Well, it was kind of funny because I wear a purity ring.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, be like a guy I work with, be like he's kind of floats around with throughout the company. He's like, Jacob, you're married, and saw the ring. Be like, no, the wedding ring is on the left hand. This is the right hand. So yes, I have a purity ring. I'm a virgin. So, so either way, I saw it at theaters. Loved this thing to death.
Mm-hmm.
It, story, characters, the whole enchilada I'll get into later. But I bought it when it came out on a DVD, and love this movie to death. I probably watch it every year. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I guess I know I have a lot of favorite films. I'd be like, that's
yeah, you've got more favorite films than the amount of movies you watch yearly,
or try to at least.
You try to watch yearly would take up a year to watch them all.
Okay, I'll literally have to count that up. But either way,
I'm just saying, a lot of the movies we've watched in the past 2 years that you've put on the list, in a lot of cases, like, yeah, this is a movie I watch yearly. I'm thinking, how with everything else?
Well, maybe not as how busy the schedule is. Be like,
especially right now.
Yeah, especially right now. But I love this film. Be like the fact that like I went to a convention, a Young Living convention, which I saw Young Living in Central Wales.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to talk more about that, click talk me.
Text him directly.
Yeah, text me later. Hint, be like I went to it, and after the first conference, I was looking around for food because be like we had like an hour to blow. So the conference center we were at was connected to a mall in Dallas. And so I'm looking, no, I was like Dallas or Houston, one of those. I think it was Houston. But I'm just looking, and they had a Disney store.
Right.
So I literally...
You bought yourself a stuffed animal.
Yes, I bought myself a stuffed animal.
Fair enough.
What of it, bro?
Fair enough. I have absolutely no room to talk.
Of course not. He's the guy.
There is a tribble over there. So
yeah, and a very large Lego.
I have toys. That's just
toys.
Leave it with that.
Well, that's the
that I did not buy because it was Voltron. Because let's face it, I didn't watch much Voltron growing up.
Okay, but it's still a cool.
But it was still a cool thing.
It's still a cool figure. Either way, be like I love this movie to death, and I'm probably gonna glow all over this thing.
So in other words, dislikes is going to be a tough section for you.
A little bit.
Okay then.
But it's going to be challenging, but yeah, we will dive into this movie.
All right.
All right.
So that brings us to the end of part 1. Join us on the other side as we get into our spoiler-filled thoughts for this. I was going to make a pun, but I just lost
Experiment?
It's not really an experiment, but anyway. Join us on the other side as we continue on our journey. Something. This is a horrible transition, but I'm going to leave it as is. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Lilo and Stitch. Listener discretion is advised.
What?
You're a sad, strange little man, and I pity you. Lilo and Stitch was written and directed by Dean DuBois and Chris Sanders, who are most famous for the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy and Mulan.
Yes.
The animated Mulan, not the live-action one that
is going to Disney Plus.
Yes, and I'm still not happy about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the music was written by Alan Silvestri, who also did the music for Avengers Endgame, Forrest Gump, and the Back to the Future trilogy. The cast includes Chris Sanders. Yes, I'm bringing him back up again.
Yes.
As the voice of Stitch. He played a character known as Little Brother in Mulan, Baby Baboon in Tarzan, And is this week's Kingdom Hearts connection as he reprised his role as Stitch in both Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep.
Ah.
Dave, I'm probably going to say this name wrong, I apologize, but Dave Chase played Lilo.
Mm-hmm.
She would go on to do the voice of Chihiro in Spirited Away.
Mm-hmm.
Tia Carreri plays Nani. She played the character of Juno Skinner in True Lies.
Oh. I love True Lies. Such a good movie.
David Ogden Stiers plays Jumba.
Mm-hmm.
He was Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
And was also in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep as Jumba.
Go figure.
There might be one other one in here.
Maybe.
Kevin McDonald plays Pleakley. He played the announcer in Galaxy Quest.
Okay.
I think it's the one at the end during the commercial.
That makes sense. Okay.
It kind of sounds like him. Ving Rhames plays Cobra Bubbles.
Yes.
And he played, and his character's design was based off of Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction.
That totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Jackson.
He wasn't Sam Jackson.
Well, never mind then.
This is Ving Rhames.
Well, never mind then.
I'm... Why would you
right along?
I'm confused as to why you thought...
I thought Samuel L. Jackson, but I didn't realize Ving Rhames was in Pulp Fiction.
Yes, Ving Rhames is in Pulp Fiction.
Okay, now I know the rest of the story.
Anyway.
Yeah, moving along.
He also played a character in the Mission Impossible movies.
Yes.
Sorry, my brain just went. Okay, Zoe Caldwell played the Grand Councilwoman. She played Oscar's grandmother in Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, which I have not watched. And is the last Kingdom Hearts connection as she reprised her role as the Grand Councilwoman in, you guessed it, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Jason Scott Lee played David Kowina.
Right.
And in the upcoming to Disney Plus Mulan, he plays a character by the name of Bori Khan. Last but not least, Kevin Michael Richardson plays Captain Gantu. And he previously played Goro in Mortal Kombat!
Get over here!
Except he was the guy with 4 arms.
Yeah. Roar.
Which, if you want to hear our thoughts on Mortal Kombat, go check out that episode over at Movie of the Week Podcast.
Yes.
I don't know if that episode's out yet, but we have
It'll eventually get there.
It will get there when we get there.
Or it'll get there when it gets there.
Precisely. All right. Stuff, my friend.
All right. Regarding info and stuff. All right. So, info and stuff. We're going to start where you can watch it. So, right now, if you are subscribed to Disney Plus, you can watch it there. And the uber plethora of Lilo and Stitch stuff on Disney Plus. I think there's a lot of it up there.
There is a lot.
You can also watch it on Netflix right now if you're subscribed there, which I think most people are subscribed to Disney Plus. Also, you can rent it on Amazon Prime and iTunes for $2.99 if you want to go that route, or you can go. Also you can buy it. You can buy this also on Amazon Prime, and or if you are subscribed and a member to the Disney Movie Club, in which you can get a small discount. And it's pretty fun because you actually get movies that you're not expecting to get, and it's kind of a nice little Easter egg in the middle of the month.
Yes.
Like this month, I've got the 4K Ultra Lion King. What is that?
The live action?
No, not the live action.
The Walt Disney.
The Walt Disney
Signature Collection.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, you can go watch it there. All right. So on IMDb, it has a 7.2 out of 10. And Rotten Tomatoes is 86%, and its audience score is 77%.
Audience doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
No, it's a really good movie. Let's say that. All right, so production, obviously, I'm going to get this right. Walt Disney Pictures and Walt Disney Feature Animation. All right, distributed.
Now, hang on, I should let you finish.
All right, and it was distributed by Buena Vista Pictures. It was released on June 21st, 2002. So that would be the summer after I graduated high school.
The summer between my sophomore and junior year.
Yes. That was a fun summer, if I remember correctly. I was all over the place.
I was working for Berkshire's.
Ah.
And
So was I. Minus I was working for the older cousin.
Saving up for my PlayStation 2.
Ah, okay. Do you still have that PlayStation 2?
I do not have that PlayStation 2. But
Ah.
do you know what the game I bought for that PlayStation 2 was?
Let me guess. Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, that was when that came out.
Surprise, surprise.
Yes, that was the year I discovered my love for Kingdom Hearts.
And then which led into another Final Fantasy.
Decade. And that would lead into Final Fantasy. So yeah.
All right. So, box office wise, it had a budget of $80 million estimated.
Mm-hmm.
Its United States opening weekend was $32.2 million, starting on June 22nd, 2002. Its U.S. gross was $145.7 million. It definitely made its budget back.
Mm-hmm.
Its worldwide gross was $273.1 million. All right, so home release. It was released on VHS and DVD. Yes, we're going back there. It has a VHS release.
This is going to be one of the final VHS releases.
Yes, one of the
or at least within the final decade of VHS releases.
This is the end.
Though apparently in some other countries you could get Frozen when it came out on VHS.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so
in the bubble packaging and all.
Wow. Okay. All right, so it was released on December 3rd, 2002 and 2003. On March 24, 2009, Disney finally released the special edition DVD, which contains 2 discs called the Big Wave Edition, which I have, which is fantastic. I don't know why they took forever to release this.
Okay.
All right, so which is called it has new DVD has everything with the original DVD and additional with audio commentary, a 2-hour documentary, which is really, really intriguing. I would highly recommend if you are a Lilo and Stitch fan or just a Disney fan in general, go pick this up. You can pick it up on Amazon. You can pick it on the Disney Movie Club. That's where I got mine, and it is worth. I think it was like less than like $12, something like that. But it's worth it. So just trust me and go get it. It's really good. Documentaries, deleted scenes, a number of behind the scenes featurettes and games, and they finally released it on Blu-ray, but it's in a double pack. Yeah. So. All right, so we are going to get into sequels because there's a lot of sequels to this thing.
Oh yeah,
like so many sequels, it's not even funny. So, on August 26, 2002, Disney released the direct-to-video sequel, Stitch the Movie, which serves as a pilot for the TV series Lilo and Stitch the series.
Okay.
The series ran for 65 episodes between September 2002 and July of 2006, which also had a crossover with Kim Possible.
Yes, a stitch in time.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, a stitch in time, quite literally. Good one. All right, so the TV series concluded with Leroy and Stitch, made for TV movie, which aired on June 23rd, 2006.
Was his last name Jenkins?
I don't know. Never watched it. All right. So skipping back a year.
Leroy Jenkins.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. So there is a lot of continuity problems with the Lilo and Stitch franchise because technically the second movie came out be like it's apparently it's a weird continuity switch. So okay, so let me bear with you. Let me bear with you. On August 30th, 2005, Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch, another direct-to-video sequel, which is set between Lilo and Lilo and Stitch the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it gets weirder. All right. So in March 2008, Disney announced an anime based on the Lilo and Stitch franchise, which is for the Japanese market, titled Stitch the Anime, which ran as a series from October 2008 to March 2011. This series was produced by Madhouse.
Mm-hmm.
My phone decided to do something weird. It was produced by Madhouse for its first 2 seasons, and then Shai-Ing Animation for its 3rd season, and the 2 post-season specials were 2012 and 2015. On March 17th, the series keeps going. This is nuts. So on March 2017, a 3rd animated series based on the franchise titled Stitch and Ala debuted in Japan.
Okay.
And that ran until 2019.
And none of that's been released on Disney Plus.
No, it hasn't.
It's not in America.
It's not translated yet.
They need to get around to that because Stitch anime sounds fun.
Yeah, I was I mentioned my last one earlier, but yes. So you can go buy all of this on Amazon, the Disney Movie Club.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably get it legally. Just my preference.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's all we have in stuff and news.
Alrighty.
Or info.
Info, stuff, news, whatever.
Yeah.
So, into the summary we go.
Yeah.
And I'm going to apologize up front for any Hawaiian names that I mispronounce. Bear with me. Dr. Jumba Jukiba, an extraterrestrial mad scientist, is arrested by the Galactic Federation for illegal genetic experimentation as evidenced by Experiment 626, a small blue sentient alien with unparalleled strength and intelligence, but also a propensity to cause chaos. The Grand Councilwoman sentences 626 to be banished on a remote asteroid. However, 626 is able to escape with his wits and strength and randomly flees towards Earth. The councilwoman then sends Jumba and Agent Pleakley, the council's Earth expert, to capture 626. Upon landing on Hawaii, 626 is knocked unconscious by 3 trucks and is taken in by an animal shelter. Meanwhile, on Kauai, Hawaii, a young woman named Nani...
Hawaii.
I said Hawaii.
Kauai.
Kauai?
Kauai. Yeah, Kauai.
Meanwhile, on Kauai, Hawaii, the rhyming throws me off.
It does.
A young woman named Nani Pelekai, I don't know, works as a waitress. One day, social worker Cobra Bubbles expresses increasing concern whether Nani is able to take adequate care of her rambunctious, disobedient, and lonely younger sister, Lilo. Since Lilo has been ostracized by her hula classmates, Nani decides to let her adopt a dog. At an animal shelter, Lilo immediately takes a keen interest in 626, who is impersonating a dog. In spite of Nani's doubts, Lilo calls 626 Stitch and shows him around the island. That evening, at the restaurant where Nani works, Jumba and Pleakley try to capture Stitch, but fail. The indescribable chaos is blamed on Stitch, which results in Nani getting fired. The next day, Cobra Bubbles warns her that unless she finds another job, he will have to place Lilo with a foster family. However, Stitch's antics, which occur in the course of his evasion of his 2 pursuers, persistently ruin Nani's chances of finding work. Also, him learning how to be Elvis and playing a ukulele, not a guitar.
Just to get that out there.
Oh, believe me, that's coming back up. Nani's friend David invites her, Lilo, and Stitch to enjoy a day of surfing and beach fun. While Nani, Lilo, and Stitch ride a huge wave, Jumba makes one final effort to capture Stitch from underwater, causing Stitch to unintentionally pull Lilo underwater. They survive, but Cobra witnesses the event and tells Nani that, although she means well, Lilo has to be taken away unless Nani finds another job. Seeing how much trouble he has caused, a remorseful Stitch runs off into the night. The next morning, the councilwoman fires Jumba and Pleakley from their assignment and gives it to the galaxy's oversized militant captain, Captain Gantu, incidentally freezing Jumba to pursue Stitch using less covert methods. Meanwhile, David informs Nani of a job opportunity, which she excitedly rushes off to pursue. Stitch, hiding in the nearby woods, encounters Jumba, who chases him back to Nani's house. A fight ensues which blows up the house. Cobra arrives to collect Lilo and take her away. As Nani and Cobra argue, Lilo runs away into the woods and finds Stitch, who reveals his alien identity just before they are captured by Gantu. Stitch manages to escape from Gantu's ship and is confronted by Nani. Before he can explain, Jumba and Pleakley capture Stitch themselves. Nani demands that they help her rescue Lilo, but Jumba insists they only came for Stitch. When Nani breaks down, Stitch reminds her about Ohana, a term for family he learned from Lilo earlier, and convinces Jumba to help rescue Lilo. Jumba, Pleakley, Stitch, and Nani all board Jumba's personal spaceship and chase after Gantu, rescuing Lilo. In this version.
Mm-hmm.
Back on the shore, the Grand Councilwoman arrives on Earth, preparing to take Stitch into custody and is forced to retire Gantu for putting Lilo in danger and blames Jumba for the mess. Before Stitch goes into the spaceship, he tells the Councilwoman of how he found his broken family and how much it means to him. Lilo then insists that because Stitch is her pet under local law, taking him away would be tantamount to stealing. The Grand Councilwoman is so impressed with Stitch's newfound civility and empathy that she goes against the prior decision of the Federation and decrees that Stitch will live in peaceful exile on Earth. He will be entrusted to the care of Lilo and Nani, and the Councilwoman asks Cobra, who is revealed to be a former CIA agent that she previously met in 1973, to watch over them. Lilo, Nani, and their newfound friends rebuild the house, and Jumba and Pleakley become members of Nani, Lilo, and Stitch's family, and they all build a new life together. Until all the other experiments go haywire in the series.
In the series, yeah.
So, your first, probably extremely long like.
Okay. So, me, it's the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's the story of this movie. It's so heartwarming, so gut-wrenching. The fact that it's kind of an allegory to The Ugly Duckling. The ugly
Yeah.
He has no family. His family rejects him, and he doesn't know where he belongs, and he finally finds his own home, and that allegory fits perfectly with Stitch. Stitch is the experiment that everyone rejects because he's strange, bizarre, and he's fuzzy, cute and fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
But no one knows that yet. So, he escapes, lands on Earth, thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna wreak havoc," but he winds up on an island.
Mm-hmm.
And I just the fact that he's found by Lilo, who is a little girl who has lost their parents, and is living with the sister. That whole family, the whole movie is about Ohana, which means family. Or Stitch is Ohana means family, which I could do that much better.
Which means nobody gets left behind or forgotten.
Yeah, which I love that. I felt a little tear when I first watched this. It was so good, just watching it in theaters. Just be like the fact, Stitch and Lilo get the family they want. Mm-hmm. Be like the fact that Stitch was Experiment 626 that had no purpose except to destroy. Yes. Everybody wanted to get rid of him. He was a mistake. No one wanted him, and he found his family. He found where he belonged, or he felt he belonged. And I don't know much about the series because I've never watched it, but that would be interesting where they go, because they explore all the other experiments, which get funnier and funnier and funnier. But the idea of Ohana means family. And this is like the core of this story, and just that's my number one, is Ohana.
Alrighty. My number one is the fact that this is not your typical Disney movie.
No, it is not.
Up until this point, your typical animated Disney movie was usually a Disney princess film.
Right, for the most part.
Or it was an adaptation of a classic work of literature,
Okay.
which most Disney princess movies were too.
Well, before you go on to that, the fact that you had Disney princess film was up till the 1950s, and they stopped until the late 80s, and they started on into the 90s.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm mostly just going over everything prior to 2002.
Okay, good.
So yeah, every animated Disney feature up until this point has either been a work of literature, in a lot of cases, princess films.
Yeah.
But also, we had stuff based off of Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
You had The Lion King, which was actually based off Hamlet.
Mm-hmm.
And may have had some ideas taken from a certain anime in Japan that has way too many similarities for it not to at least been an inspiration.
Maybe.
Just a touch. Also, you had pretty much, they based everything, it seemed like, for a long time on works of literature.
Yeah.
They really did not tell an original story, with the exception of Fantasia.
Yeah.
Which, admittedly, was an experiment in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you want to know more about that, go listen to that extremely long episode. But this is entirely different, is hinted at by its 4 amazing teaser trailers.
Oh, yes.
In which Stitch ruins all 4 Disney movies that he cameos in.
Yeah.
For those teaser trailers. My favorite is Aladdin, where he steals
Jasmine.
He steals Jasmine. It's like, okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah. It's like you're in the wrong movie. Which, I mean, they're all great.
Yes.
The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, where he tears down the chandelier.
Yes.
Get your own movie.
And when he replaces Simba on Pride Rock.
Oh, yes. I love that. They were like, huh? What?
Yeah.
That was
Even
so
though
good.
Timon and Pumbaa, they show in that scene, which if it's the beginning of the movie, that only works if it's actually Lion King 1.5.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Maybe they're taking that as an example. I don't think Lion King app was even...
It was not made yet.
It wasn't made yet.
It was not even a glimmer in the Disney Toon Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But that concept, like, this is not going to be your typical Disney movie.
No.
And admittedly, Disney was trying to get away from perhaps a stereotype that they had been laboring under for a long time about being for kids. They're trying to get a little bit of that, I would say, DreamWorks audience. Well, yeah, Shrek would have been out by this time.
Yeah, Shrek would have been out around that same time.
And I think they were probably trying to get a little bit of that kind of audience with this.
Yeah.
But still being Disney
in
a strange sort of way. It's just a nice breath of fresh air where it feels like they were allowed to flex their storytelling muscles, make a fun, original movie without being laden to any sort of previous work. Essentially, the only person who can claim ownership besides Disney is Chris Sanders himself, because he did create the concept of this movie.
He did.
But it's still such a good, fun, classic movie. It's not your typical Disney fare.
No.
It's a little bit on that kind of rude side, like you would get with Shrek, but it's never dirty like Shrek does.
No. Like, Stitch is very much your, like, almost, not antagonist, but,
that's the thing is,
almost an anti-hero in a way.
There is not really an antagonist in this film.
In a way.
And you could claim Jumba and Pleakley.
Yeah.
You could claim Captain Gantu.
Yeah.
Which, of these, Gantu's probably the closest I would actually call to a villain.
Yeah.
Since I believe he goes on to be a villain in the show.
Yeah.
But...
well, he really didn't like Stitch at all anyway.
Right. But for the most part, everyone here is just kind of doing their job.
Yeah.
Except for the mad scientist who created an experiment that he shouldn't have created, which led to our character.
Yeah.
And even he's not evil. He's just
a mad
crazy.
scientist.
He's crazy.
Yes. He did try to kill a little girl with a Swiss Army knife that they changed into something strange. But anyway...
Well, that's scissors for you.
Well, admittedly, had 9/11 not happened, even that scene probably would have stayed in there.
Probably.
Anyway,
yeah,
we'll get to that in a bit.
We'll get that in a minute.
But at the same time, I enjoy this movie. The fact that this isn't your typical is just such a breath of fresh air.
Right.
And we'll get more of these non-typical, what I call a non-typical Disney movie going forward, because it seems like start with between this and Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
It seems like at this point it's like Disney realized we don't have to be squeaky clean.
Yeah.
As long as we stay kind of sort of clean.
Right.
So I think, wasn't this PG?
Yeah, it's PG.
Yeah, this is one of their first PG, because even
Yeah.
Pocahontas, even Hunchback of Notre Dame, I believe is G.
Yeah.
Which, if you know the story that's based on, that's an achievement.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Especially with some of the scenes in that, which we will have to do that eventually.
Yeah.
But anyway. So yeah, that's my number one. What's your number two?
My number two would actually be the background. The backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me first start off with the fact that we like Chris Sanders, who one came up with the idea. One, his art is paramount in how the character design, everything. Because if you go and look at his art, it's exactly this, and so that's why it was based off his art design, and he's the one who came up with Lilo and Stitch. And he's the best voice. He voices one of the best characters ever, which is Stitch. But either way with that, backgrounds on this movie are done in watercolor, which is something that has not been done in decades when it comes to Disney.
The last one Disney did was Dumbo. Now, technically, I believe a lot of this was still done digitally. It's just done in a watercolor style.
Yeah, it's done in a watercolor style, and I really enjoy that, because watercolor, if you know what you're doing, is really, really it's amazing to work with, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, just the backgrounds are just so they're in, like you said, they done that only in Dumbo, and but oh my gosh, I love these. I love the backgrounds. I love the character designs, because all the characters, they're not built like you would have like Jasmine or Ariel, or they're all more round. Like everybody's got more of like a round curve to them, kind of like more like a Marilyn Monroe in a way. Kind of like how Nani's built. She's very curvy about everything. Kind of what my sister-in-law would describe herself would be like, she's very curvy. And I thought it was a very interesting approach, and it's really grown on me, because when I first watched it, I was like, this is weird. But the more I've become more understanding of art, it's like, wow, okay, that's something you never see.
Right.
You don't see a round character. If they're all like, either they're superhero built, or they're just like supermodels. Yeah. Where they look like normal human beings. So yeah, just the approach, the aesthetic of the backgrounds and characters are just like phenomenal.
All right.
It's your number 3.
2, actually.
2.
My number 2 is all of the space scenes.
Yes.
And everything dealing with the sci-fi half of this movie. I have been a sci-fi nerd for years, having grown up on Star Trek, and more recently I've started to gather an appreciation for your more Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers style science fiction, which, good night, is this more heavily based on. I mean, it is. They are pulling from like every single science fiction thing you can pull from for a lot of this stuff. I think the only thing we're missing is lightsabers, if we're being honest. But you got the cheesy looking blasters, of which that look like they could be children's toys, in many ways.
Oh, man, what's her identity choice?
Oh, yeah. You've got giant rocket ships, spaceships that look like toys, flying toys, essentially.
Yeah. Or one who essentially looks like a kind of a warp 747.
Get to that. We'll get to that. There's a good reason for that.
Yeah, there's a good reason for that.
But, well, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I enjoy the cheesy sci-fi-ness of this. They could have easily tried to mimic a Star Trek or a Star Wars with the designs. Mm-hmm. They go full bore with this Flash Gordon-esque style science fiction setup. The aliens, while they're not I wouldn't call them humanoid.
Yeah.
Even though they're very human-esque. They all kind of have you can kind of tell, in a way you can kind of maybe see them almost, you can easily see them being portrayed as, say, a puppet or a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
They kind of are a little Muppety in the way they're designed.
Agreed.
With the exception of the Grand Councilwoman.
Yeah.
She's set up differently. But, I mean, you could easily see these on, as like puppets in in the background of a alien shot kind of a thing. They're not humans. Mm-hmm. They're in no way would you call any of these humans. They're all alien, but they look like how a human. I hate to say how a human would design an alien because let's face it, a human designed these aliens.
Right.
But I mean, it looks like how a live action artist would have designed it with the idea of like this has got to be something we can actually do. It's not just crazy alien designs like you can see sometimes in, well, I can say in Monsters Incorporated. That's kind of a stuff that you really can't do with a human suit in a lot of cases.
No,
but this this looks like it was designed for the concept designs were designed to make a suit out of or a puppet out of. Even though of course it's animated, so it looks better in my opinion.
Right.
But it's just so good.
Yeah.
It's leaning into that cheesy 70s aesthetic. I say 70s. It's that the B movie style aliens. It does it far better with the design of these aliens than Monsters vs. Aliens.
Oh,
did.
Absolutely.
Because that was just goofy. These are a lot better looking aliens.
Yeah.
And they thankfully did not use the same race over and over again.
Right.
Pleakley is different from Jumba, which is different from the Grand Councilwoman, which is different from Junta.
Yeah.
And every character you see in the background, anytime they have all these other aliens, they're all individually designed. There's not a generic alien design that they depend on. Every single alien is designed. All the environments in the spaceships are very highly 70s areas. Even to the fact that all the corridors are giant for no good reason.
Yeah.
Except for Captain Gantu to walk through because he's 10 feet tall. I don't know, 20 feet tall, really.
And plus to make Stitch seem a little smaller than normal.
Yeah. Plus, then you've got his red police cruiser Stitch steals, which looks cool.
Yes, I love that thing.
And I'm kind of leaving the 747 ship out.
Yeah. For
obvious reasons, because admittedly it was designed that way to mimic the 747 they had already animated.
Yeah.
And it kinda works, it kinda doesn't. But we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get that.
So yeah, that's my number 2. What's your number 3?
My number 3, you kind of alluded just a second ago. The Captain Gantu finally captures Stitch. That entire scene I loved to death. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into the background of that story, why it was changed. But I posted about it earlier today, and
yeah, and you can go watch these on Disney Plus too. It's in the extra section.
Yeah, so go watch that. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So Captain Gantu catches Stitch and mistakenly catches Lilo himself. Stitch escapes, of course. And so what does Be like the fact to be like Lilo, be like Stitch, be like has to find a way to get Lilo back, and he convinces everybody to do it.
Yes,
but because he's Stitch.
Yeah, he's very persuasive.
Yeah, very persuasive. Which I like that. That was a good impression. Very good impression.
Why, thank you.
But just the entire run up to using Gantu's ship, to the truck scene. I love the truck scene where be like when he lands on Earth, he gets run over by 3 trucks, and then he uses a fuel truck, goes to a active volcano area, has our Gantu.
But Gantu's chasing him.
He's
trying to catch him.
Yeah, Gantu follows him. Be like, Stitch detonates the truck.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, really went there? And makes himself a
film.
fire rocket.
A Disney film where we light entire fuel trucks explode.
Yeah. It was just like, oh my gosh, they went there. That was so cool. Be like, using propulsion, rockets there, knocks Gantu out, rescues Lilo, and just be. I love that scene. It's so well done, and the fact at the very end of the high councilwoman be like comes and be like, does this and be like Lilo's be like, well, you're sealing him because he's officially my pet, and I love that. I love it, like how that movie ends. It's so well done, so well crafted. They don't do any trick corners or anything to like some movies do.
I think there's a little bit of bureaucracy, but I think it works to the movie's advantage.
It does. But I love the whole ending of that movie. And yeah, that's my number 3.
Okay, my number 3 is Stitch. Stitch himself might be one of the craziest characters that Disney has ever put to film.
You're probably right.
I am including in that estimation Apu. Pretty much everybody in Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other characters I probably could think about, but Stitch is the only one of these where it's not just played for laughs.
No, it's not.
It is. There's a lot of stuff that's played for laughs with Stitch, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But they do a lot to endear you to this character who, in his introductory scene, you are told is a troublemaker, a technically illegal, should not have been created. He's designed to be destructive. His entire purpose for his instincts would take him to on any planet he was on, take him to this biggest city and wreak havoc. That is who he is instinctually.
Yeah.
And in many ways, he kind of is that character until he meets Lilo.
Yeah.
And even with Lilo, he's kind of... It takes him a while to kind of start to open up.
Yeah.
I would say around the time he sees the picture of her family, of her parents.
Yeah.
That's around the time where he and the picture book with the ugly duckling.
Yes.
That's when they start going, okay, yeah, this character who is just kind of a nuisance
and built for destruction.
You're going to love him by the end of this movie.
Oh,
You're going to feel
absolutely.
sorry for him to the point where, keep in mind, in the beginning of the movie, when the Grand Councilwoman says, Experiment 626, if you can understand what's being said, if you can show any amount of civility, please do so now. And he says what apparently in that alien tongue is something very rude, let's say.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, it turns around where he surprises the Grand Council by saying, is Stitch gonna? Am I gonna have to leave? And she says, well, yes. Can I say goodbye first?
Yeah.
And she says yes, and he goes and hugs Lilo and all this stuff.
He gives this great little speech.
He gives this great little speech, and it's the most we've seen him say in a coherent it's the longest, most coherent sentence we hear him say the entire movie.
Yeah.
And it's what turns everything around. Because Stitch has learned. He's grown above his programming.
Yeah, he's developed so
well. He has developed... It may have been his programming to be this wild and crazy, destructive force of nature.
Mini Godzilla.
Pretty much. But he's able to... He had the ability to grow past that to... When his natural instincts are thwarted by being on an island that has no major cities on it, he was able to expand in an area he was not normally able to.
Yeah,
and he became a better creature for that. And so I appreciate the fact that we told a story essentially about Frankenstein's monster.
Pretty much. That's a good analogy.
In fact, better analogy would be in the movie Young Frankenstein. I don't know if you've watched it yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
But the end of that movie, after, all the crazy antics with, the monster and all this, they, Dr. Frederick Frankenstein, does one last experiment while the mob is trying to break into the castle.
Yeah.
To even out some kind of whatever is causing him to be crazy.
Yeah.
Be animalistic. And by the end of it, he is more normal. He's able to talk coherently, and he gives a very similar kind of speech in response to this man who created him, even though it was kind of a flawed, crazy, mad scientist thing. I'm not going to get into the end of that because this is a clean podcast. But
yes.
Anyway, the story, it's the fact that we go from, you get the monster to, I hate to say the saint, but the human, essentially.
Yeah.
The human in six-legged and furry suit.
Yeah. Don't forget the antennas.
And the antennas and the little things on his back.
Yeah. Little spines.
Little spines. The fact that by the end of this movie, he's probably the most human character in this movie.
That is true.
I just appreciate them being able to do that. So,
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, the fact that Stitch is, like, one of the most profound characters of development. Like you said, he started off as the monster, the mistake, and grew into a very, like, always very intelligent, but full of, destruction because he's programming. But he overcame his programming and became something more.
And
something
it's important to note he didn't do this by himself.
Yeah, it was all the external things around him.
And a lot of it was Lilo.
Yeah, it was a lot of it was Lilo.
And Lilo, you have to remember, is this strange, crazy little girl.
Yeah.
Who wears her heart on her sleeve and has a wild and vivid imagination.
Yes.
But without her, he never would have been able to make that leap. If he had been adopted by any other person on that island, he would have escaped and found his way onto a plane somewhere and gone to
somewhere.
Would have gone and destroyed a major city somewhere.
So he would have.
Lilo, in her craziness, provided him a home.
Okay, so you're
that he could work with, because her home was kind of crazy, like he was.
That's true. So you're saying, if Stitch had been adopted by someone else, he would have literally pulled a Godzilla, went from Hawaii to San Francisco, from Godzilla 2014.
He would have found a way to do this.
Yes, he would have.
He might have had to hide out on a 747 on its way to San Francisco.
Yes.
But he would have found a way to do it.
Yes, agree with you there.
Or he would have just stole Jumba and Pleakley's
plane. He just went over there.
Yeah, space plane.
Yeah. But hey, that's when the greatest thing about this movie, it's set on an island. It's on an island. So he really he could go trash Wahoo or something like that. but he's kind of stuck, and he hates water.
One of my favorite lines is from Lilo. She's after they've gone from one side of the island to the other on that tricycle they stole.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so nice to live on an island with no major cities.
It's like, oh, damn. I love that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Anyway, that I think brings us to the end of our likes. I know it's going to be hard for you to come up with some dislikes, but you have to try.
Yes.
Give us a dislike.
All right, so
your number one.
My number one dislike would be, how did you not know this was not a dog?
Well, admittedly, a lot of them said he wasn't a dog. There's no way that's a dog.
Yeah, but they were also...
I think it's a koala, which is the closest
thing
he looks like.
Yes. But a blue koala.
I like it. Well, I think he was a collie before he got ran over.
Like, he's still alive? Like, he got run over by 3 trucks.
All of our dogs are adoptable, but not that one! Oh, Jimmy.
Oh, that was good. Oh my gosh. But the fact that Nani she's wary of him. It's like, how did you not know this was not an extraterrestrial being? Be like, he's a koala.
To some degree, I can understand.
That talks.
To some degree, I can understand everybody else singing this is some strange, weird mutation that's essentially dog. The exception being our CIA agent turned Child Protective Services agent, Cobra Bubbles. Cobra Bubbles, we will learn by the end of this movie, was instrumental in saving the planet because he convinced the aliens that mosquitoes were a endangered species. He is the only human in this entire movie that prior to the events of the movie had dealings with aliens.
Yes.
And he does not recognize that Stitch is not a dog?
Yeah. It's like, he's a strange dog.
In some ways, I think maybe he knew and was trying to get Stitch to get more civil because he knew... You get the feeling as hard as he is on Nani and Lilo, that he really does not want to break the family apart.
He obviously doesn't.
He is trying his best, but he has to do his job.
Yeah.
But, and maybe he thought maybe Stitch could help with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, he ought to be able to know the telltale signs of alien biology.
Yeah.
Even if Stitch is a genetic experiment, he is still based on somewhat alien DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So he ought to at least be able to tell, that's, I don't know. I don't know they don't say any of the alien species names in this.
No.
So he ought to be, that's obviously extraterrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
We ought to lock that up in Area 51.
Yeah, that's true.
But he doesn't do that.
No.
Anyway, sorry. I
but
jumped in on yours.
Either way, it's just people, they throw the hypothesis like, well, he got ran over too much, or maybe he, was dipped in glue or whatever. But it's like, even Lilo doesn't quite realize he's an alien. It's like, until he kind of reveals that he's an alien, pops his arms out. It's just like, okay, people, I realize be like, yeah, he's a cool, destructive little blue dog, but dogs aren't blue. Except when you're that Nickelodeon dog.
Well, there are a type of dog called a blue heeler.
Yeah, blue heeler.
That does have kind of a dark bluish furry spots. Maybe they were thinking it just had more of that kind of fur?
Who knows?
I mean, he does have a dog nose. His mouth is dog-like.
He's got big ears.
He's got the big ears. Maybe they just thought, admittedly,
he's a corgi. That's what he is. He's a blue corgi.
How many dog breeds are there out there that if you were to first look at them without any clue, you wouldn't think that's a dog? You've got everything from the Chihuahua to giant Saint Bernards in terms of essentially the scale.
Yeah.
Of any kind of way you can think of it.
Right.
Stitch would easily fit on that scale, you have to admit.
I would agree with you in a lot of ways.
Dogs of all shapes and sizes.
That is true.
And the primary reason we know he's not just some weird dog is because we saw where he came from.
That is true. That is true. But it's so more. It's from my perspective, it's more the observation. But
the fact that he talks and was far more intelligent than any other dog on the planet should have been giveaways.
Yeah, kind of a big giveaway.
But
it's kind of like a YouTube video I watched. It's Misa the Puma. He's
and that cat.
But it's more the fact to be like they train this puma to be like a dog.
Yeah.
And so he would go to like dog training lessons. And like all the other dogs are like, oh, you're just kind of like a big dog. And so it just kind of reminded me of that. And plus, be like people who have exotic pets are just cool as long as they don't eat you.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah, either way. What is your number one?
My number one dislike. My number one dislike for this movie is, strangely enough, actually no, I'll get right down to it. It is the part where she's going over these 3 different things that Elvis Presley did that made him...
Oh, yeah, made him famous.
And that this is something that Stitch needs to do to be more civil.
Yeah.
And there's a number of things that go into this. Admittedly, the entire sequence is played for laughs.
Yeah.
Granted.
Yes.
If she could have found a way for David to babysit, she would have had a job. Probably at the first place.
Probably.
And everything would have been fine. But because she had to bring Lilo, and Lilo's going to do her own thing and get Stitch involved with it, everything goes haywire. And that's... Don't get me wrong. I enjoy the laughter in that sequence.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like... And admittedly, you have to give some kind of tension throughout the movie. Are they going to get broke? Is the family going to get broken up? I understand that. But I have to think of the intelligence of the characters. She should have found a way to get a babysitter. Even if that babysitter, the only babysitter she could get was David. Because I think David's the only person besides Nani who can actually put up with Lilo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or at least play on her level.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing, is it's her level.
Yeah.
The fact that in the third part of that, when he's on the beach dressed as Elvis, and everyone's crowding him, and they're doing this whole thing, once again, that I'm reminded of a scene from Young Frankenstein. The fact that you see this weird blue dog.
Yeah.
Dressed as Elvis, playing an instrument. I'm saving the instrument problem for a little bit.
Go for it.
But saving the playing this instrument, admittedly playing to lip syncing very well to the song, mind you,
and standing upright.
And yeah, that would have gotten the attention and curiosity, but the whole let's get in close and get in his face and all this other stuff, it's like, no, you don't do that. It's a strange creature. You do not get up on it as a mob. You get away and look and maybe enjoy the little concert thing he's given, but you don't get up on him. You don't know what diseases that thing has.
Yeah.
You don't know what the thing is. The assumption is a dog, but that's the assumption our group says. You never hear what anybody else on the island thinks he is.
Right.
And last, but most certainly, not least, That is not a guitar.
Mm-hmm. Preach it.
That, very obviously, is a ukulele. Specifically, that is a soprano ukulele, which is, is not native to Hawaii, gained its prominence in Hawaiian culture, and Lilo should know this. Because Lilo knows lots of things. She's a very intelligent young lady. She ought to know that ain't a guitar. It's a stinking ukulele. It is a staple of Hawaiian culture. Or modern Hawaiian culture.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it's a staple of the 50s forward Hawaii.
Yeah.
It is... I mean, let's face it. You go and buy a ukulele. It has a Hawaiian name on it.
Yeah.
She should know this, and it should not be a surprise. She should not be calling it a guitar. Now, technically, it is of the guitar family.
Yes.
But I only know that because I looked it up. It's a ukulele. It is not a guitar. And while I can understand the plebes in the audience not knowing this, Lilo should, and if they had somebody from Hawaii working as a cultural consultant, which I assume they would have so they can get everything else right in this movie,
right,
they should have caught that was not a guitar, it's a ukulele. But anyway, that's... Maybe they could not get that little girl who was playing Lilo to say ukulele. That's my best guess. But at the same time, it's like, that's a ukulele. It's so painfully obvious a ukulele. Why'd you call it a guitar? At the same time, why do you know where to put your hands on the strings? To tell Stitch how to do it. Despite the fact Stitch picks it up and is immediately able to play it. Well, he's an alien. I can let that go. But, and also... I don't care how strong you play a ukulele, it's not going to break windows open. Anyway.
Well, if you hook an amplifier to it.
Amplified in that scene at the coffee shop.
I know.
I don't care how much of Stitch's alien physiology was messing with it.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, that's my number one.
Well, this coming from the guy who does
learning to play the ukulele.
Yep. My number two, this one's, it's not really a nitpick against the film, it's what the people had to do with the film. Because when this movie came...
I know what you're bringing up.
Yep. This is one of those films that had just the worst timing. The worst timing when it came to being in production.
Yeah.
There again, if you watch the 2-hour documentary, you get into this much more detailed. So when, not Gant. Hold on.
Gontu.
Yeah, Gontu.
Gontu.
Yeah, Gontu.
Gontu is the captain who kidnaps Lilo near the end of the movie, thinking he's also got Stitch.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're all chasing him, trying to get Lilo back.
Exactly. And so you have the point where, like I said before, Stitch gets the group together. They got to go save Lilo. And in the movie, the theatrical version, they get on, what's his name?
Jumba.
Yeah, Jumba's ship. Well, originally during production, they made it a 747 jumbo jet.
Yeah.
So you would think being in, during production, not a problem. Except it being September 11, 2001 when this happened.
Well, they were in like the final... They weren't in the final stages of production because there was still almost 10 months until it was released.
Yeah, it was 10 months.
But they were far enough along that, for the most part, the scenes with the 747 were finished.
Yeah, for the most part, they were fully completed. And so... If you follow the Facebook page, I posted the scene which we're referring to is called the 747 page scene, where instead of it's Jumba's ship, they literally hijack a 747 and go after Captain Gantu.
And gee, I wonder. And it's not just that. They fly through the city.
Where
all this
bank around
this thing and have a giant crash in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why this didn't work after September 11th.
Well, the funny thing was, like, when September 11th happened, which I was a senior in high school when that happened.
I was a sophomore.
Mm-hmm. So when that happened, it wasn't the higher ups. It wasn't the higher ups who said you've got to change it.
No,
it was the staff.
I'm sure when they saw the towers fell and knew what happened, it's like, we cannot have that scene in this movie. We need to change it. Now, admittedly, I'm amazed at how well they were able to change it.
Oh yeah,
but at the same time, there's enough vestiges of what the scenes were beforehand that it makes you go, that's not what this originally looked like.
No, it isn't. You could tell.
The biggest one is Pleakley in the cabin of the ship on what is supposed to be, mind you, a spaceship for 2 people.
Yeah,
that are permanent, plus a cargo area, has thousands of seats in it.
Hundreds of seats
for a 747 jumbo jet.
Yeah.
And plus, when Stitch jumps out, the door he goes out, is written in English, but it's the emergency door, and it's not written in an alien substitution of it. No, it is like, you know what it is when you see it because it's that familiar.
Oh yeah,
it's not they did not alienify that door at all.
Oh yeah,
it's literally everything around it is alienified.
Oh yeah,
but the door itself, it's like, well, nope, Stitch actually touched this. We can't change it. We have to leave the door as it is.
Yeah, it's something part of the scene, so you can't change it. So yeah, it was sad they had to change, but obviously they had to. And it literally came down to the crew saying, like, we can't do this.
Right.
Even though it'd be like hard because they put so much time into it. Mm-hmm. Like, you watch the animation. Some of it's complete, some of it's not. Yeah. But it's so well done.
And if you're watching it, you can say, okay, these are the scenes they modified, even though and they only really modified the backgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
And the outside of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
All the animation is what they did before.
Oh yeah,
you can tell that by looking at it. Which is why the door is the way it is, because it would have had to have been. They could not have used a background for that door since it's got to work.
Mm-hmm. Even the funnier part of it is when Stitch goes to release that door, be like, it's exactly the design like one of those breach doors.
Yeah. Because it had to be.
It had to be.
They had to be in the original scene.
They couldn't change
it.
Which I always thought was weird when I watched it. I was like, that looks like an airplane door.
And it's because it is.
It's an airplane door because they couldn't change it.
But my favorite part of that, we have not talked about the poor guy on the beach who's just trying to eat his ice cream cone that never gets a chance to.
In both versions.
Right. Well, no, remember, it's a running gag.
Oh, yeah.
That, no matter which way you look at, that version was the 3rd time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the most, you're just not going to get your ice cream guy.
No. But now it makes me want to go have ice cream.
Yes, in his memory.
In his memory.
In his memory. But the fact that in both cases, if he would have just dropped the ice cream cone a little bit, about 3 inches, he could have still had his ice cream because the wingtip just barely destroys it.
Well, technically there's an animation error because, like, in either scene, either the version, the 747 or the spaceship, be like, it literally goes right through his hand.
Yeah. Because that's the only way you could do that.
Yeah, it literally clips right through his hand, but all you see is ice cream.
But at the same time, most people aren't going to notice that.
No, unless you're animation nerds like us.
Yes, and looked at and already on edge because you're like, wait a minute, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the scene because obviously they had to change a lot.
Yeah, a little
and
bit.
And at nearly the last minute.
Yeah.
But it's a shame they had to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I do have to bring up maybe the thought of why did you do that in the first place?
Because it sounded fun.
I know, but at the same time, there's a part of me that goes, maybe even if you hadn't had to bring September 11th into the equation,
right?
Why are you having these giant jet nearly destroy this whole little town, especially since they're on the island of Kauai?
Mm-hmm. Kauai.
My understanding, bear in mind, I've never been to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
But Honolulu International Airport, which is probably the only airport in which a 747 jumbo jet can land on,
you're correct,
is nowhere near this island. Of course, also, I have to admit, the active volcano is nowhere near this island either.
Yeah,
because it's on the Big Island.
Yeah,
and the rest of the island volcanoes are dormant, are mostly dormant.
I would think they're dormant.
They're mostly dormant because the hot spot that creates those is actually now southeast of the Big Island.
Okay.
Or at least it's moving that way because the plate is moving Japan-wise.
Okay.
Moving towards Japan. And I was in geology in college. And this is one of the most... and the idea that the Hawaiian Islands are still technically going is interesting to me. But there is actually... The volcano that's currently forming the Big Island is actually leaving the hot spot right now. And there's another volcano that's has not breached the water yet that is on its way up. Now, when it comes up, it's going to connect to the Big Island and make it bigger because of just how big the Big Island is.
Yeah.
And it's just not moved. The crust did not move that far.
Right.
But still, you know what I mean. Sorry, you got me off on a geology standpoint.
You're good. I mean, like I was thinking about my number 3, but yeah, that's my number 3. Number 2,
I will say my number 2, just kind of jump in, is the fact that nothing is where it's supposed to be in Hawaii.
No, it's not.
I don't know where the island of Kauai is.
It's technically Kauai is actually one of the smaller islands.
Right. So it's one of the ones that's on the other side of the whole friggin' state.
Yeah.
But they're on this island of Kauai in the movie. You've got a big enough city that can be destroyed by a 747 doing weird things right there in the middle of town.
Or a spaceship.
Or a spaceship out in the country.
Yeah.
It's a big enough island.
That's right, it is in the country.
It's a big enough island for there to be a giant city and a lot of country.
Yeah.
Also, it's big enough to have another airport.
Yeah.
Big enough to handle a 747 jumbo jet, which only the Big Island is, my understanding, is the only other island that can pull that off.
Right. It's the only one.
And the Big Island is the only one that's got any active volcanoism on it.
That is true. It's like they just made...
We're in Hawaii, and we're not going to do anything. We're gonna do all the Hawaiianisms, even if none of that would actually work on this little bitty island way over here.
Yeah. That is true.
It's like when they come to Texas and they show us all riding horses.
That is true.
And living on ranches.
That's annoying.
That is very annoying.
Yeah.
It's the stereotype.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, very much of that same point. I went to Utah for a mission trip and talking with like some youth that were there. They're like, so do y'all guys wear cowboy hats? Or do you guys...
Some of us do.
Some of us do.
Some of us don't look good in them, so we don't do it.
That is true. Do you ride horses everywhere? Because that's what I know.
I've ridden a horse one time.
Yeah, I did too. And it was a very worn out mare.
No, this was a nice horse that I was on, and I kind of did the little... the little thing to get him to go.
Yeah.
I did it too many times.
Oh.
And it just went vroom. I'm going, whoa, 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 whoa. Anyway.
But either way, so Did you already do your number?
I did my number 2.
Your number 2.
We're on your number 3.
All right, so my number 3 is kind of along the same line of Gantu's ship, or the 747.
That
now,
would be Jumbo ship.
Jumbo ship, sorry. When
the space plane.
The space plane.
That's what it is.
The space modified plane. So, if you know anything about aviation, I've learned a little bit of understanding. Like, for some reason, I got into this kick of plane disasters and how they happen, and that whole.
Do you watch the show Air Disasters?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to verify.
Yeah,
because that's a great show.
It is a good show. So there is.
Even though almost all the acting is a guy standing in front of a whiteboard going, "We've got to figure out where that where the black box is."
Pretty much.
And they're acting extremely dramatic. It's like, they didn't talk like that when they were looking at this. I guarantee it.
But it's the one little thing that kind of bugged me in this last viewing was, okay, so when they're banking, also one, planes can't bank like that. But like,
and not that slow.
Not
either.
that slow. Be like, so when
it works when you're talking about space planes.
Yes,
because those are obviously going to work under a different set of physics.
That is true. But when Stitch breaks off that one lever, I'm like, wait a minute, what lever was that? Because if you go back to the original, he broke the ailerons.
Which means...
Yeah, literally, you can't change the pitch of the plane. And
once again,
here's
the thing. I actually do like the idea of using the space... Jumbo and Bleakley spaceship.
Yes, I enjoyed that.
That makes a lot of sense
logically.
It does. And honestly, it makes more sense than going and stealing a 747.
That is true.
However...
So, and the other one we mentioned earlier of Stitch blowing open the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's going to rip that plane apart. Doesn't matter what kind of, it's a space station or not. Like a spaceship or not. Because if you
don't know what kind of heavy duty space metal that thing's made from.
That is true. But the only problem is...
Of course, we know the door is made out of standard police aluminum, plain aluminum, because they couldn't change it.
They couldn't change anything. All they could do is make it red.
Yeah, they didn't even do that.
No, they didn't. The fact the movie does not follow physics. The fact when Stitch blows the airlock, in a sense, or the plane door blows off.
Stitch blows the airlock. Stitch is the only one who gets blown out.
Yeah.
And no decompression happens.
No decompression. Now, the plane does not tear apart.
Granted, the space plane is not that high up in the air. So maybe it has not...
It's above the clouds.
Problem?
It's above the clouds.
Okay, then never mind. I don't know.
It's over 40,000 feet.
It's a space plane. Obviously, after Stitch got blew out, a force field went up.
I don't know.
Space plane.
Okay,
now, when it was a 747,
no.
Then you would have you would have a leg to stand on.
You would have most problem.
Space plane? Logic is out the window.
That is true. So that was it was like, wait a minute, you just blew the door open. Be like, shouldn't there be like cabin pressure? People shouldn't be able to breathe. Be like, the plane should be tearing itself apart.
At least have a comedic shot of Bleakley trying not to get thrown out of the ship,
or him bouncing around or something like that, or he's floating or something like that. That would have been funny.
We're not talking about a 5 minute thing, just like a short 1 to 2, maybe 3 second.
Yeah,
let's make fun of Bleakley again because he's the comedy relief of this show, and then move on.
Yeah, but it's animation,
right?
Science.
Once again. Space plane. We move on.
Space logic. There we go.
Space plane. Anywho, my third dislike is we don't actually get to see how Stitch escapes. They take a shortcut. I'm talking about at the beginning of the movie, of course.
Okay.
When Stitch is escaping, steals the red patrol car.
Yeah.
And then goes to...
You had to take the red one.
It goes to Earth. They call it... They pronounce it weird because...
Yeah.
It's obviously got an E in it, so it can't be Earth. An A in it, so it can't be Earth. But all we get to see is he escapes into the ventilation system. Classic sci-fi trope. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Escapes in this ventilation system. Gone too stupidly. Fires up into it. It's like, well, gee, I wonder how close you are to space.
Let's blow a hole in the ship.
And if you think you can hit the alien through the ventilation system, what else can you shoot through?
And plus, let's remind me, like, Stitch is basically indestructible.
Yes.
You hit him with a gun, be like, he's gonna be like, get up.
Right. And then all we get to hear is a couple of noises, and they go, where'd he go? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, he stole one of the patrol cars, and you just see him flying off, and it's like, I want to see him steal the patrol car. I want to see how he hotwired that thing.
Well, I think in the deleted scenes they show that.
Maybe so. I wish it was there because it's like, I want more Stitch being destructive.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give us more of that contrast between who he is at the beginning of the movie and who he is at the end. That's just me wanting more out of the movie than we got. But anyway, that's my third dislike, which brings us to the end of our talking points.
Yes.
And we need to get into our rating.
Okay.
You, my friend, may go first.
All right, so I will go with a 9.5.
Okay.
There again, I love this movie. Now, I did have a little disagreements about, cabin pressure and the fact they had to change the plane, and they couldn't figure out that Stitch wasn't a dog. But all the same, I have so much nostalgia behind this film, and being a critical reviewer of animation,
mm-hmm.
there are still going to be those moments that have infused them into your subconscious, to your very soul about a certain film. That, even if there are flaws in the film,
mm-hmm.
even the minorest of things, you're still going to enjoy the movie, even at a critical review. I still love this movie. The fact that it's a great analogy of the ugly duckling, or the one you used of Frankenstein, which is a really good analogy. This is a very good meal. I'm not going to say it's perfect, because there's no movie that's perfect. But it comes really close. We are I think this is the first movie that Disney ever did was set in Hawaii. I think so.
It's the first time they did something that was Polynesian and Pacific Islander.
Yeah.
Which they wouldn't do again until Moana.
Yeah, which Moana is a really good one.
We'll get to that when we get to it.
Exactly. But, I thoroughly enjoy this film. This is one of my, all-time favorite films of all time, and I'm giving it a 9.5. What about you?
All right. I'm giving it a 9. I don't have quite the nostalgia that you've got. The fact that the ukulele thing is a nitpick. Granted.
Yeah. It
annoys me, but it's a nitpick. I would not take points off for them getting this instrument wrong. It's a very good, it's a very well-made movie. It's not one of my favorites.
Okay.
Not because it's bad or anything, but because it's just not... It's not one I think of.
Okay.
When I think Disney from the 90s.
Yeah.
And really, this is like the end of that 90s run. It's technically already in the next Dark Ages, but this is one of those nice golden spots in the Disney Dark Ages from this time period. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's not one of my favorites, but I enjoy it and I appreciate it, and I especially like the fact that they do so well with this later on in Kingdom Hearts. Because this is actually one of the way this is brought into Kingdom Hearts, actually, I think is well done.
I gotcha.
It's one of my favorite ways they added a Disney feature into and all that.
I gotcha.
Anyway, Yeah, I'm giving it a 9.
Okay.
So that brings us to the end of the episode, which means we need to roll for our next movie. To remind everyone where we now have everything at, with the exception of number 4, which is going to be new this week, everything is on 2.
Mm-hmm.
And these things are on spot 1 on the dice, My Hero Academia, 2 heroes. Number 2, we've got Kingsglaive, Final Fantasy 15. Number 3, we've got Hercules. Number 5, we've got Batman vs. Two-Face. Mm-hmm. And number 6, we got Spies in Disguise. Jacob, tell us what is replacing Lilo and Stitch as on the number 4 slot on the dice.
Yeah, I don't know. Why don't you roll them?
Because, Scooby, you're here.
Yeah, right around it.
Mm-hmm. And you are perfectly capable of telling them what we're doing.
Oh, yeah. Rube.
Rube?
Rube.
So, a documentary about the cartoonist Rube Goldberg?
Ray! Ruby Roo! Come on!
Ruby Roo.
He will run.
Are you perhaps referring to the Avengers of the Hanna-Barbera universe?
Raby.
Raby? Okay. Rabies?
Ray! Right away, rabies!
Okay, so yeah, number 4, we do have Scoob. So,
that's what I'm saying.
Since this movie was yours, I get to roll.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I can get it up here. And I apologize to the people watching this. I don't really have a good way to show you what I'm rolling, so you'll just have to take my word for it. So we got a 6, which gives us Spies in Disguise.
Okay. That's
our first completely blind review.
Exactly. Interesting.
Because neither one of us has seen this movie yet.
No. It's one of those last movies that 20th Century Fox did before the merger, for the buyout.
They were nearly finished with it, and it's going to be one of the last ones before 20th Century Fox became 20th Century Studios.
Yes.
So, join us next week for that
birdie of adventure.
I don't have a good pun. Well,
yeah,
join us next week to see if Spies in Disguise lays an egg.
Thanks, guys.
Come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
The same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
They can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron and Jacob's Daily Art Corner, my personal art Facebook page. On Twitter at Jacob B. Heron. On Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. And on Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. Where can they find you, Drew?
You can find me on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. You can also find my Facebook page at Drew's Photo Bin, where I upload my photography. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759 and Twitter at GGeorge759. Where can they find us, Jacob?
You can also visit our website, thecellcast.podbean.com, where you will find every episode we released and links to listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. Our RSS feed, if we aren't in your favorite podcast app directory, please share, review, and subscribe to us there and share us with your friends.
You will also find a link to our Facebook group, the Double Feature Podcast Community, where we talk about both animated and live-action movies. We share this with our other podcasts, which we do with Jacob's brother Jim, at the Movie of the Week podcast, where we talk about live-action movies. You can also email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Also, please like our page on Facebook. We try to post about upcoming movies. If you comment on that movie's post before we record, we'll read your comments in the episode. And remember, every time we say The Cellcast, that is with a single L.